Welcome to Logic Breaks. Today we will discuss guilt by association, common fallacy. Basically, you're making a connection where there's maybe just a very tenuous connection, and therefore the person is a bad person for all kinds of reasons. Negative emotions, negative connotations to it. A lot of people consider guilt by association to be a subset of the ad hominem fallacy. Ad hominem basically translates more or less as against the man. Of course, we would update it to be a little bit more inclusive today, say against the person, but that's basically the Latin. You classicists out there, if you want to argue about the specific translation, feel free to do that. That is not my area of expertise, but more or less that's what we're talking about. Let's say, for example, you go to a party and some bad things happen at that party. You didn't know bad things were going to happen. You don't participate in the bad things. When asked about it later by the authorities, you tell people exactly what you saw, what you witnessed. So you're not trying to cover anything up. But nonetheless, just the fact that you went there, just the fact that you were at that place, people might assume, oh, you must be one of the bad people who did the bad things. You did the assault. You did the destruction of property, whatever the bad thing is that people have in their mind. Some other examples. Let's say you're a big fan. I'm just going to use an example here. No offense to Manchester United. I'm going to use them as an example. I don't think there's a whole lot of hooliganism at this point with that club, but let's say I use that as an example. A football club, what we would call soccer in the U.S., and some bad things happen at one of the games, at one of the matches. And some soccer hooligans who are fans of Manchester, maybe they assault people, maybe they destroy property, maybe they say all kinds of nasty things, racist, homophobic, whatever it may happen to be. And you happen to be a Manchester United fan, you're wearing the colors, and somebody says, oh, you're just like them. Well, of course you're not just like them. And you might be asked to denounce that kind of behavior, but it shouldn't be that you have to denounce every single bad thing that anybody who you pay attention to does. Just as you wouldn't be expected to denounce every single Democrat or every single Republican just because you happen to be a member of those parties, you shouldn't be expected to do that every single time. But it's understandable that, again, sometimes people will make those connections. Guilt by association, just simply because you're a fan of that team and those hooligans are fans of that team. Therefore, you are just like them. You are guilty of the same kinds of behaviors, the same kinds of mindsets, the same kinds of prejudices, or whatever it may happen to be. Some more extreme examples. Let's say you're a visual artist, you're a painter, you love to paint. Well, you know who else was a painter? Hitler. Now, again, this is a ridiculous kind of thing, right? But these are the kinds of things that go on with guilt by association. Just simply the fact that you have one thing in common means you must have a lot of things in common. It's like, well, you're not guilty of being as horrible of a human being with all the horrible things that he perpetrated in the world, simply because you have one thing in common with Adolf Hitler. Obviously, that's ridiculous. That's guilt by association. Some other examples, some more current examples I might use are with Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein. Some of you know who he is. I won't go into too much detail. You can look up who he is and what kinds of horrible things he's associated with. He's, of course, now no longer with us. I won't use any words that YouTube might not like me to use. But anyway, he's no longer with us. There are pictures out there floating on Twitter. I still call it Twitter, X. There are pictures floating out there on X or Twitter of Epstein with Donald Trump, Epstein with the Clintons, Epstein with Elon Musk, or Steven Pinker, I think, is even one of them that's out there. So simply the fact that you were at a party with somebody, especially if the party was not about those awful things that were happening on the island that Epstein had, or Ghislaine Maxwell, his associate, who is now in prison, just because a picture of you is taken at a party with those people doesn't mean you're guilty of the things that we know some people are guilty of. Hopefully, more information will come out about who really is. I suspect that there are people who know a lot more details than we're being given in the public at this point. And hopefully the people who are guilty of the horrible things that happened there will come to justice, will get the justice that they deserve. But again, simply the fact that you were seen with somebody, shook hands with somebody, years ago, decades ago sometimes, doesn't mean that you are guilty of the bad things that person then later on was found out to have been involved in. So that's it for today. Let us know what you think. Do you have other ideas that you'd like to see us pursue on Logic Breaks? Do you have other examples of guilt by association? Until next time.